Hey YouTube, it's me, Jen, your pudgy picker.
And Kim.
And we are here for another podcast. Two sisters.
One booth.
And this is podcast number 45.
45.
So after this one, there's only 5 left. I know.
But we're on to bigger and better things.
Yes, we are. So, still haven't come up with a name.
Nah.
We have some basic ideas of what our new venture show is going to be. You're going to have video and audio and up close and personal. Well, I don't know about that, but yeah.
Let's not scare them
How
away.
up close and personal? You wanted the curtain to be pulled back. You're going to get what you're going to get. So today we're talking about kind of two different subjects. They kind of go hand in hand, sort of, maybe. We wanted to talk about the reseller's mindset.
Ooh, get into the mind.
The mind. So, if you've been doing this for any amount of time, you have probably gotten the reseller's mindset. So
That's kind of hard, you know. I'll start off with an experience for me.
Oh, please do.
Well, I used to, thrift quite often and come in with hordes of bags of goodies. And then with my financial situation changed greatly, then I couldn't do that. So I had to train myself over months. Whenever I'd go into a store, I knew where all the clearance stuff was. I'd always, you have your little routine, the certain aisles you go up and down. And I had to train myself to stop looking because I couldn't afford to buy that extra stuff.
Yeah.
Well, then that's about the time we started our first venture. And so then I would be out and at the thrift store or the whatever, and I'd be halfway down the aisle and stop and go, wait a minute, I have to go back and look again because now I'm like, no, I can't. Now it's like, no, I have to look at what I can.
Mm-hmm.
So it is really a training process that you have to train yourself for this.
Yeah, and it's funny because I catch myself, I'll be somewhere or I'll go, like we'll be out to, we'll go somewhere new for dinner and I'll look up and see a light fixture. I'm like, I could sell that.
Okay, here's my second story for the evening.
Okay, I'm ready.
Well, I just recently was down to Disney in Florida. And if you've ever been to Disney, their queue lines and everything are just absolutely phenomenal. Mm-hmm. They keep you plenty occupied with lots of stuff to look at. Well, I was catching myself in those aisles going, oh man, look at that old whatever. There was on the top of a train, this one train that goes around to Rafiki Watch or whatever it's called there at Animal Kingdom. And on top of it, it's supposed to look like it's an old train out in the middle of no place,
Yeah.
They had old luggage and stuff strapped up there, but they had these aluminum chairs strapped up there. The old ones with the webbing. I'm like, oh man, you know how much they sell for on eBay? Man, I could really make a killing off those. So yeah, wherever you go, you're always like, oh man, I could sell that.
Yeah, and if you ever find that webbing, like new in a bag, like new old stock, that sells too.
I have some out in the garage, and when I get my garage cleaned up, I want to put it up
there you go. Yeah, I'm sure certain colors are more popular than others, but I don't know. It's always in the back of your mind where you are, what you see. I mean, I've been to Hobby Lobby occasionally, and we're getting one in a town between Kim and I. There's a town that's getting one.
Yes,
and it's funny. You're not going to buy anything there.
Well,
no, you won't, because I don't buy anything there. If I don't buy anything in there, you'll be. But you can go through and get lots of ideas.
Oh, okay.
So you go through.
So it's like a live Pinterest.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Ooh.
Wow. That's we're gonna have to coin a yeah.
That was just
mind-blowing. So you go in and you look and you're like, oh, you never do that where we're like, oh, I could make that.
Yeah, I could.
Oh, look at that! I could make that. And that's what it is, because it may come as this is a craft store. It is a place where people go and just buy stuff.
Inspiration.
Yes, or they just buy it and put it in their house.
Yep.
There's a lot of signs and shelves and baskets and all that kind of stuff that is literally just ready to pick up and put in your house. And, of course they have craft items But I don't know, the overwhelming feeling you get when you go in is it's just ready to buy. I mean, even like Joanne Fabrics and other craft stores have gotten to that point where it is you go in and it's more just stuff than crafting.
I think too, because people go in and they get overwhelmed. They're like, I'm going to make this idea, and I go in and it's like, oh my gosh, and then I'm going to have to, and where's this, and I need to buy paint, and I gotta. And then you see something similar hanging there. It's like, forget this. I'm just going to buy it.
Forget it.
How much money I'm going to spend to make it. I'll just buy it.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, it seems like a lot of places are really kind of leaning more toward that. And there's more floor space that's dedicated to finished things. So yeah, it's true whenever I go anywhere. There's you remember when Fridays used to have all the stuff on the wall?
Yes.
And I was talking to somebody who had worked there when they
Cracker Barrel too.
Well, yeah, but when they stopped and they took all that stuff down and just minimalized it a little bit, they essentially just gave that to people who were working there.
Oh my!
I was like, oh.
I wish I had connections.
Yeah, so I mean, when you see that stuff, you're like, oh, that would be so easy to. There is a Fridays that's not too far from my house that still has an old Atari, riveted to the wall. So yeah, I mean, the mindset is you're always looking for ideas and, ooh, I could this and maybe I could that. And if you are a person who buys and resells and crafts, you really got a lot of information. No matter where you go, you're just looking.
Yep.
How are things in different colors? How are things staged? I've in the last week or so, I've gotten on this acrylic paint kick, and I'm crafting again, but it's to resell. So I've been binge watching on YouTube, farmhouse DIY decor. And I tell you, I could do 100 different things to a mason jar.
Yeah.
You paint it, put burlap on it, do this and do that. So there's just so many ideas out there to be had. And, as a reseller, you're constantly, looking at it through the filter of reselling.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that's something that all of us, once you do this a while, you kind of get into that mindset. So, anything else to add on that topic? Because I'm going to segue to another.
Boy, here we go. Exit stage left.
Yes. Well, I was talking to someone I used to be at our old mall. Who was a vendor. He's selling mainly online now, so he doesn't have a space there anymore.
No physical space.
Yeah, so we just were talking and, catching up with each other and, how are sales and what are you doing now and this, that, and the other. And I had seen him at a few auctions, so we'd, gone up head to head on a few things. And some of the things he would buy would be like, what does he see in that? But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. And we got talking about honesty and being honest in this business. And it's, I don't know.
The best policy.
Yeah, that's what they say.
It's not just a cliche.
It's really, it's important to be honest as a person. I feel, this is my own personal opinion, but it's also in this business. It's like any other industry or any other job. You will keep coming across the same people over and over again.
Yep.
There are people that I have garage saled the last 5 years. Every summer I see them.
Yep.
And they're like, you came here last year, or you were at my aunt's sale last week. I mean, these are people you constantly see over and over and over again. And there was one lady last year after I left, and I said, okay, see you next year, and laughed, and she laughed, because it's like, yeah, we probably will. But it's just one of those things that I've been in different situations in even a garage sales, and I've, had to stop and say, wait, you didn't charge me enough, or you gave me back too much in my change, or simple things like that. I was buying a whole bunch of little stained glass. They were like fruits and vegetables and just real small ones. And I ended up getting, a decent amount of them. And I gave her the money for it, and she was wrapping all these. She was an older woman, so I was getting the royal treatment. Everything was being packed so nicely. She ended up scooping up my money that I had given her, and with the items, put it in a bag and handed it to me. And I got out to the car, and I thought I wasn't sure if that's what I saw, so when I got in the car, I looked, and that's what it was. Now, a lot of people say, well, hey, you made a mistake.
You weren't paying attention to what you're doing.
You need to be paying attention. Too bad. Yep. But my conscience wouldn't have allowed me to do that.
Yep.
Just different occasions where I have literally been in a garage sale. Oh, that's a cute little box. I open it up, and it's the money box.
Oh,
and the people who are running the sale are
nowhere
to be seen.
Yep.
So, I mean,
I opened a woman's purse up one time. It was sitting there with the other side. I just thought it was for sale. Nope. That's when you kind of like, oh.
You want to turn around. What are you doing to my purse?
It's scary.
Wow. So did you say something to
her? No, I don't remember, honestly. I really don't remember. I don't think I did. But I think the person was one of those cases where they weren't around. I think I was almost like embarrassed that I did it because I'm thinking that was pretty stupid, but you shouldn't have had your purse sitting there.
Yeah, I know when I opened up the cash box, there was 2 people running the sale, and they were over at a different table working on something. I said, you might want to put your money somewhere else. I just opened this box thinking that they're like, oh my goodness. But of course,
yeah.
There are even people who price switch at garage sales.
Oh yeah.
And just, I don't know.
It's bad enough to steal from you, because I've had stuff stolen from my garage sales. A garage sale and you're stealing a $1 necklace. Really? Really? But to switch prices, that's pretty low.
I just don't, I don't know. It's just a whole different mentality. But, in everybody's life, whether you're a reseller or not, you come across opportunities where you could get away with something.
Yep.
And you make that choice, am I going to do that or not? Now, if you have, if you get the wrong change or whatever the case might be, if you look at something and like if you go into a garage sale and they have something that's sitting there and it's $5 and you can get $100 for it, or it's something that's not stealing from somebody. If they don't do their research, or they don't want to look at it anymore, or they don't care, they just
want it out of here.
Yeah, so that's all well and good. That's not, that's not taking something from somebody. And also if you go on eBay or you find something in an antique mall and it's priced lower than you could get for it online. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a case of if you don't do your research and if you're pricing it and I give you what you're asking for it, then
all bets are off. It's mine.
Yeah, pretty much. So that would be different. One of the stories that this former vendor had told me was that he knew somebody who, I don't know if it was a nursing home or assisted living or whatever the case was, where if someone elderly was there and passed away and the family was like, we don't have time to deal with it, just go ahead and donate it or whatever, this person would come along and say, I'll give you this amount of money for it. And then he would clean it out. So it was a nice arrangement. It served 2 purposes. He got some good stuff, and they got some money, and however that worked. I don't know all the details, but point being is that at one point there was something that was worth about $4,000 he could sell it for.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what the item was or items, and they're like, well, we're not sure what this is worth, or, what should we do? And instead of, offering them, let's say $1,000, because you're going to make $3,000, he offered them like something ridiculously low and said, oh, that's all it's worth. Then you're outright lying.
Yep.
And you're taking advantage of the situation. And this person ended up putting it on eBay, and someone there knew his eBay store and looked and saw what he was selling it for. Mm-hmm. And they said, don't ever come back here. This arrangement's done. So for the sake of making an extra, if you paid $100 for it instead of $1,000, I mean, he shot himself in the foot, and now he
mm-hmm.
completely lost that thing he had.
Yeah.
So,
because he lied, he outright lied.
Yeah.
Like making that statement, it wasn't worth that much. Then deception,
and it's difficult because you are in a position where, like, let's say you buy something at a garage sale, and you say, will you take, you have 10, will you take 7? That person has a decision to make whether they're going to say yes or no.
Yeah.
And they're getting whatever they're asking for.
They've already set a value on it.
So that's the point. It's not like, well, what is it worth? It's only worth 2. Okay, give me 2. Yeah. And then I go off and sell it for 200. It's kind of, I don't know. It's
deception.
Not a real black and white, cut and dried issue.
But it's a deception.
Yes. So
especially under those circumstances, because it's an emotional time. It's, having to deal with a lot for people, the family or whatever, to deal with all of that. So you're really taking advantage of them in so many ways. That's just not right.
You're kicking somebody when they're down.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, it is difficult. There are no real clear-cut answers in a lot of ways. But you have to realize when you lay down at night and you put your head on your pillow, and are you able to rest? Did you give more than you got? Did you contribute in some way? Were you fair? Were you honest? Because we want people to be fair and honest with us.
Yep.
And we hate it if we have a physical space and somebody steals from us.
Yes. Or
someone offers you a really low price on something. Like, not just, hey, I want a few dollars off, I want it, but I want a better deal. Like an insulting amount of money. I mean, you know how you feel when somebody does that. You're like, well, I did all this work and I did this and you're not treating me fairly, and that's it's like you're trying to rob me by offering me such a low price.
I just had that happen with them calling me from the store about some stuff.
Oh.
Yep. They wanted to pay half of what I had on there, and I had everything reasonably priced. It's like, no.
Was it one item or was it several items?
No, it was 3 items, and they were all vintage.
Okay, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could have put them on, and I may still end up putting them on eBay and easily get what I have on them. Easy. But just, that half there, I do it at garage sales. I know I'm bad.
But
I always go in and ask for half. But not there.
That's different. When you go to a store, or you go to a garage sale, or you go to a flea market, or you pick up something along the side of the road, you know what you have an expectation of what is fair or what you're going to get. If you go to a garage sale, you can see the same exact item that you would see in our store, but our store isn't a garage sale. Yep. And some people have the garage sale frame of mind when they go in there, and that's not what it's about.
No.
So,
absolutely not.
And you know what? It's funny. I was talking to the owner about the term flea market and how flea market used to be, our store isn't a flea market. And I said, flea markets they're a lot different now. I mean, there are some really high-end, really expensive things. They call it, like, there's one in Cleveland called the Cleveland Flea.
Yep.
And that one, you would pass
like
out
artsy,
if you saw some of the prices there. So when you think flea market and garage sale, they're not in the same class anymore. People perceive them as different.
Yep.
So, when you go to Macy's, you don't go in there and see a $600 handbag and go, I'll give you $100. They would laugh you out the door. So, I understand everybody wants a deal, and I don't know. They have a store policy. Excuse me. They have a policy at our store that if there's something $25 or less, we won't even call the vendor. So if you have something that's, $20 and, how can I offer you less? No, it's store policy that we don't call a vendor if the item is under $25.
Yep.
And can you imagine if that weren't the case? We would be on that phone the entire day, not helping other customers because somebody wanted an $18 item for, $5.
Or a $5 item for $1.50.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, and then I think when you start doing that, if you didn't have that policy,
you devalue yourself.
Yeah, and it gives you that flea market feeling or that garage sale, feeling of, I don't know. And it's almost insulting. Well, well, do you think they take less? And then you have to be careful because some vendors are like, oh, well, a lot of vendors take an offer. Why don't you make it? It's like, shut up.
Yep. No, we're here to help you. Think about it. You want me to walk over to your booth and help somebody and say, well, I'm sure I can call them and get another $25 off of that. No.
Yeah.
You want the price that's on it, preferably, so no.
Because I have had people, they'll just come in and they'll just straight up buy the item. They don't ask.
And people ask just because they know they can ask, and you never know.
Yeah, and some people will say, well, if they have like a $20 item, could we get any? No, that's our store policy. They're like, oh, okay, and they walk up to the register and buy the dumb thing anyway.
And even regular stores where my son works, people know what their policies are, so they'll go in and go, oh, that looks like there's a scratch there. Can I get a discount? So they purposely come in looking for something to be wrong with it to try to get that extra 10 or 20% off. So,
yeah, that's another fine line of, are you, I mean, if you truly do see something and they're probably not going to sell it, if it has an issue and there aren't any more, I wouldn't think there would be anything wrong with saying, hey, because... See, when you and I go into a store, if we go into a thrift store and there's something and there's a little piece missing or there's a little wire that's gone, you and I can go, that's nothing. We can fix that.
Yep.
But there are people who, they're like, oh, I really want, so there's a little piece of wire missing. Okay, I guess I'm not going to get it.
Yep.
Or if like you're in a regular store and there's something there's a seam that's open or something, we're like, that's no big deal. You just it'd take 2 seconds to zip that up with a sewing machine.
Or something knitted that the seams come loose and it's starting to unknit itself or something. You
Mom
just
used
take
to be so good at that.
Yeah, and I do the same thing. I've fixed a couple of people's sweaters and stuff over time because of that. But
yeah, you'd go walking through and she'd go, come here. She's looking. I'll fix that. So yeah, I mean, I could totally understand, and if that's your policy, but when you go around and you're just you're just looking to, and I'm sure there are people who would probably even scratch or knock something over and can I get a discount?
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
I don't know. I just, at the end of the day, your dignity and your personal code and your ethics are worth more than profit. And there are some people, even other people who are reselling, who screw other resellers out of money.
Oh, yeah.
And this particular person told me of an item that he knows was taken from a store where he was working, where it was his item, and it ended up showing up in another reseller's own shop. And they narrowed it down, figured it out, it was this person. They ended up switching a tag or something, and they ended up putting it in their spot. When they paid for it, they used their tax exempt ID. So it was really just the height of ripping someone off.
Insult to injury.
Yeah, and when you're in the business and somebody would do that to you, can you imagine? So why would we ever turn around and do that to someone else in the business? And I know there's even a fine line when you see something that another vendor has that you would like, that most vendors will give other vendors discounts.
Yeah.
But I am always very careful to say, this is for personal use, or I'm going to use this as a display in my booth. So I'm explaining to them I'm not going to resell it. And of course that's my choice, but I would never talk down another vendor and then turn that around and flip it.
Sell it, yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
If I can't buy it for what they have on it and resell it and make some extra money, I'm not even going to mess with it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. And once you do that to someone in a mall, you're really breaking down the cohesive family atmosphere between you and other vendors.
Definitely.
Don't be one of those vendors. So yeah, I just had a vendor that there was one other vendor in our mall that was selling soap, it was totally different from what I was selling. So I was okay with that. And then he had like a little spinner that had his soap on it. One day I was working, I saw it in the back and it had a price tag on it. I was like, oh, looks like he gave up selling soap. Funny, he'd been there all day. It was Jim. He's like, he's been there all day. And then all of a sudden I see it, so I call him. I'm like, I know I looked at you all day, but I just saw this and you have, I think it was like $65 on it. And I said, you know, I sell soap. And he said, yeah. And I said, you know, with this, I would be able to carry more. And I'm like, would you be willing to take a little less for it? And I know I'm going to be using it in the store, blah, blah, blah. And he said, he ended up saying $50. Now, if you say a lower price, usually they kind of want that in cash because of, you know.
Yeah, we pay a percentage.
Yeah, 3% if a credit card or a check is used. So after I got off the phone with him, I thought, oh, I forgot to ask him. So what I did is I could, they have a little thing up at the front by the microphone, the overhead speaker, that'll show you how to figure out what it would be with that 3%. So I ended up paying like $52 and some odd cents.
Okay.
So then I thought, well, I'll do that because I'm being completely fair. So when I saw him next time, I'm like, I didn't ask you if it was cash only. He goes, yeah, I saw what you did. I appreciate that. So, you know.
You build a good rapport with people and they know that they can trust you or, you know, will treat you better when they know that you're not standing around behind them with a knife in the air.
Yeah, and for $2 and some odd cents,
it's not worth that.
It was the relationship and that, you know, us all, you know, pitching in and helping each other out, that was more important. Yeah. So that's what I did. So that goes a long way. And, you know, everybody has their own moral compass. Everybody has a way that they do things. But I know that I'm always going to make money. Yeah. And if a dollar or two gets lost you know, or I don't make quite as much as I thought because I'm being fair and honest with somebody, then that's okay with me. You know, I'd really rather just, you know, err on the safe side because I want people to deal responsibly and kindly with me. So it worked out good. I ended up, you know, it was a little expensive. I mean, $50 is a lot for a display. Yeah. But I don't think I could ever find one that would hold that amount for that amount of space.
Yep.
And it's an investment into my business. So it was one of those of just going to have to pull the trigger and make the decision.
Yeah.
And he was willing to, you know, help me out a little bit. So.
Well, it's a business write-off, you know.
Yep. It's an expense.
On your taxes for next year.
$50, but it's going to hold, it holds 20 different kinds of soap. And the little thing I had now holds like 8 plus another one on top. So I have ordered more soap. So yeah, at this point, you know, you just have to make that decision. You know, what's honest and what's good and what's fair, and how would I want someone to treat me in the same situation.
Yep, exactly.
So I don't know. It's just something I kind of wanted to talk about, and I think it's important. And I don't know. There's just so much dishonesty in the world, and it's so easy to, you know, if you think you can get away with something. I mean, think of all the opportunities that you have where that moment in time, if you would have stolen or picked that purse up, or I would have saw the money, and I could have just grabbed a handful, nobody ever would have known.
Yeah.
But my conscience would have known. Yeah. And that's, there's nothing worth that.
Yeah, in this business especially, but I mean, even while you've been talking this whole time, I keep thinking of my youngest daughter. And she told me today she went out shopping. She needed to get a few things. And she paid for a big item and got out to the car with the cart and took the big item out and realized she had bought a real small bag of chips and that it got missed in the conversation and everything up at the counter. So she turned around and went back in the store and paid for that little snack-sized bag of chips.
Didn't that make you feel good?
I know, because I mean, it's like, what, $1? But the point is, you hope you teach your kids that little stuff. People will remember your face when you come back in there, and they know that you're going to be honest, and they know they're not going to follow you around in the store if you come back in for a 99-cent item.
You know what's funny, though, is a lot of times when I've done that, the people look at you like
you're
are
crazy.
you crazy?
Yeah, I know.
Why didn't you just keep walking?
I've done that sometimes where I've had a small item in the cart, you know, where you, like the kid would sit, and I had my purse sitting or it slid under there, and you get out to the car. Well, now I make it a habit. I'll take my coat off because I'm hot. So I pick up my coat and I shake it and I pick up my purse.
You got look under it. I do that every Monday when I'm at the thrift store. I'm like, did I miss anything?
I really don't want to get arrested for $1.99 eyeliner. You know, it's just not worth it for me.
That would happen to you.
It would. That's my life. I live by that rule. If anything can go wrong, it will. Yes,
it will, and it will happen to me.
Yes, more than once.
No, it's funny. What was it, like last year sometime? I went into a store and just got a couple things I needed, and I got a big bag of dog food, and I had it sitting in the cart, and we pulled it around to the end where the lady was loading the groceries, and I said, "Oh, don't forget to scan the dog food." And then when I got out, I'm thinking, as you're pushing the cart out, you're like, that just didn't sound right. So I looked at the receipt. Sure enough, it was like a $15, $16 bag of food. So I was like, oh. So I have a little, looks like a key on my key ring, and it folds out, and it's a little knife. It's so handy. So I cut off the UPC symbol, and I gave the money and the UPC symbol to my son, and I said, go pay for this. And he kind of looked at me. He's like, what? And I'm like, he feels uncomfortable when he does stuff like that. So it wasn't, but I'm like, just go in and pay it. You finish loading the car and I'll just drive around and pick you up at the door. And he said, they just looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, because most people would be like, woohoo, I got something for free. Yeah. And to look and go, oh, well, this company makes billions of dollars, so they ain't going to miss it. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. Oh, so you could steal from a rich person, not from a poor person. It doesn't change the fact that you're taking something that doesn't belong to you.
Well, I think a number of years ago when we had that brownout in this part of the United States.
That sounds terrible.
It was...
Google it.
But, it was pretty bad. Of course, where I was working, we kept working because they had these big gigunda generators outside.
Lucky
that kept us.
You.
I know. Unless the phone lines went down, we were stuck. But anyway, so you don't have any electricity. You didn't have any air conditioning. It was such a hot, muggy day.
Terrible.
And so it's like, okay, I hate to open the fridge because it's so hot, and we don't know how long it's going to be out. So let's just go up. I saw that the grocery store, the major grocery store, was still open, and there was cars, so they must be running on generator too. Let's just go up. They used to have sub sandwiches or whatever. So we went up, and I'm like, well, here, we'll grab this, that, and the other. And I had a good handful of stuff when we went up there, and there you can hear this beeping sound and stuff going on. Well, just right before when they started my transaction, the rest of their systems went down. There was no more, nothing going on. And I was going to use a debit card because I made sure when I went in, there was someone standing there telling you, we're on minimal power, this and that. Are you taking the debit or credit cards? Yes, we're still taking them. So that's what I planned on. I didn't have cash on me. And we went through the line, and so I'm like, the debit card, well, they just went down. We can't use them anymore. And I'm like, I don't have enough money for this. Just go ahead and put it back. And then the person just threw their hands up, said, never mind, just take it. Just go. So I went home and I made a list of what it was.
I never heard this story.
You never heard it?
No.
I made a list of what it was. And then a couple of days later, when all the power was back up and everything was hunky-dory, I went in and went to the counter and asked to see a manager. And when the manager came out, I told them what happened. And I said, so to the best of my ability, this is what I should have paid, and I wanted to bring it into the store. And he looked at me like I grew horns in front of him.
Are you nuts?
But that's
because
what's important
it's such
to
an
life.
oddity. That's why.
But it was important to me because that would have been shrink, or that would have been lost money, or that would have been. And it's nice of the store to have done that, but I wouldn't have felt good about the situation. So that's just the way we are. We like to be that way.
Well, it's just you treat people as you want to be treated, and
what goes around comes around.
Yep, and it's just.
And even if it doesn't come back good on me, I'm always feel like I got the upper hand because I try my best every day. Like you said, at the end of the day, I feel good in myself knowing that I have tried to be the best human being that I could be for that day, and I have tried to be the best, supporter, whatever was necessary for that day to like you say, make an impact or do something good for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as I feel good at the end of the day and know I haven't cheated anybody, I guess that's all that we can ask for, right?
Yeah, and that's the right mindset to have, and we want people to treat us well. We don't want people to take from us. Then why would we turn around and think it's okay to take from someone else? Mm-hmm. So, in this business, unfortunately, there is going to be theft. There is going to be dishonesty to some point. There are going to be people who switch tags. There's just, unfortunately, that's part of the nature of the business.
Yeah.
But, we don't have to be that way. And
we
don't
have
say,
to have that mindset.
well, it's been done to us, so we'll do it to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's, So I don't know. I don't know if this conversation's going to make any difference to anybody.
It makes you and me feel better.
Yeah, I know. We're
and
awesome,
that's important.
Aren't we? So, just, think about that. I mean, be fair, be honest, and it'll come back on you and it'll be good. And what you're putting out there will, comes back. And if someone doesn't notice or they don't appreciate it, that's okay. You do things because it's the right thing to do, not because you want a reward or you want people to tell you how wonderful you are.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, that's the payoff,
It is. Mm-hmm.
So, I guess that's all. We get off of our soapbox and but it is part of the business. It's something that we've never really touched on or talked about, and it's important. So take whatever you can or you want from this conversation and use it, and if not, we can't do
Always
no more.
Be the best person that you can be that day.
Yep.
Period.
Aw, you're so cool.
Oh, he's so neat.
Yeah, you're so neat.
Oh.
You really are. It's so much fun to spend. You guys, just all our listeners, just wait until we start doing, all the in front of the camera stuff. It's gonna be so much. I don't know what you're gonna learn, but you're gonna think it's funny, and you know how we are. So, and if we don't entertain you, we'll entertain each other.
That's I entertain myself every day.
Oh gosh,
every day.
Yeah.
And then I laugh at myself because I go, that is really stupid what you just said, did, or you stand there making faces at yourself in the mirror. I mean, just dumb stuff to entertain myself.
It's funny because and now when I'm doing something, I'm talking to myself or I'm talking back to the TV, my son will come in the room and he's like, "Are you talking to the TV?" "Yes." "Okay." He doesn't say anything because he knows, I'll watch something on TV or I was listening to, I don't know, we're talking about how the rates changed on eBay for now priority is cheaper than parcel select. And I said this out loud and he heard me talking and he's like, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." I said, "So now that everything's priority, when everything is priority, nothing's priority."
That's it.
Yeah, that was a great point I made to myself, and I appreciated that.
You're awesome with yourself. You know that?
I gotta just write it down every day. So, I guess that's all we have for you this evening. So, we have a few more podcasts left to go. And then, probably by the last one, we'll be able to tell you if we know what we're going to call our new show. So, keep thinking about it, Kimberly.
Welcome to the Insanity. That's the sign on my front door,
Welcome to the Insanity, yeah.
Yeah, I have a little screen sign. Yep.
Well, that's appropriate.
That was given to me by my daughter. She knows me well. Yeah.
So we hope that you enjoyed our podcast this week. Please give this video a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Leave a comment down below. Or you can email me with a question. What is my email, Kim? Do you know it?
Jen at...
I'm showing her the paper now. She's cheating.
Oh, no, I was thinking Jen at budgiepicker.com. I was right.
That's me.
I've heard enough. I should know.
Really? So, and you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Lots of people are jumping on Instagram to follow my silliness. And you can find me on both of those places by The Pudgy Picker. That is it. We will see you next week. Hear you next week. Or you will hear us. We will be talking.
We will be talking even if no one's listening.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's getting late. Our brains are going. So that's it.
All right.
See you next time.
Bye.